Today, I want to remind you that our God is still a healing God. No matter what you're facing this morning, whether it's a physical illness, emotional pain, mental stress, or spiritual heaviness, healing belongs to you. The scripture tells us that God is close to the brokenhearted. He sees every tear, every sleepless night, every silent prayer. You may not feel strong today. You may feel tired in your body, weary in your mind, or discouraged in your spirit. But here's the good news. God's healing power is flowing toward you right now. Healing isn't just about the body. It's about peace in your mind. It's about restoration in your soul. It's about freedom from anxiety, fear, and past hurt. When you pray, you are inviting the Creator of the universe into your situation, and one touch of His favor can change everything. This morning, we are not praying from a place of defeat. We are praying from a place of faith. We believe that what God started in you, He will complete. Every cell in your body is lining up with His promise. Every anxious thought is being replaced with His peace. Every wound in your soul is being restored. Get ready. Today is a day of healing for your body, your mind, and your soul. Amen. God is your healer, and His power is working in your life right now. Even if you can't see it, even if you can't feel it, even if the medical report says something different. Healing is not just something God used to do. It is part of who He is. He has not changed. The same God who brought restoration in the past is the same God who is breathing life into you today. When you wake up in the morning with pain in your body or heaviness on your mind, you have to remind yourself that healing is already in motion. Before you prayed, before you worried, before you shed that tear, God had already prepared a path of restoration for you. Sometimes we think healing has to be dramatic, instant, and visible, but many times God works quietly. He works behind the scenes. While you are going about your day, His power is aligning things in your favor. He is strengthening your immune system. He is calming your nervous system. He is restoring damaged areas in ways you may not fully understand. Every heartbeat is sustained by Him. Every breath you take is evidence that His life-giving power is still flowing through you. You are not fighting alone. The Creator of your body knows exactly how to repair what is broken. You may have been dealing with a condition for a long time. Maybe you've prayed and you're still waiting. It's easy to get discouraged and think, if God was going to heal me, it would have happened by now. But healing is not always a one-moment event. Sometimes it is a process. During that process, God is building your faith. He is strengthening your character. He is teaching you to rely on Him in deeper ways. Just because you don't see immediate change doesn't mean nothing is happening. Seeds grow under the soil long before you see any sign of life above the ground. God designed your body with the ability to heal. When you get a cut, it doesn't stay open forever. It begins to close. That natural process is a reflection of His healing nature. If He placed that kind of recovery system inside you physically, how much more is He able to restore you emotionally and spiritually? The same God who mends bones can mend broken hearts. The same God who regulates the stars in the sky can regulate the chaos in your thoughts. His power is not limited to one area of your life. When fear tries to rise up, you have to replace it with faith-filled words. Instead of saying, "This will never change," begin to declare, "God is renewing my strength." Instead of dwelling on worst-case scenarios, start thanking Him that His healing is already working in unseen ways. Words have power. When you speak life, you are agreeing with heaven. You are inviting God's promises to take root in your situation. Faith is not denying the problem. It is declaring that God is greater than the problem. There will be days when symptoms feel stronger than your hope. In those moments, remember that feelings are temporary, but God's word is permanent. Your body may send signals of discomfort, but that does not cancel his promise. Healing can begin in your spirit before it manifests in your body. Peace can settle in your mind even while you're still waiting for physical improvement. That peace is a sign that God is near, that He is holding you steady, that He has not forgotten you. God's healing power also works through wisdom. Sometimes He guides you to the right doctor, the right treatment, the right lifestyle change. Sometimes He prompts you to rest more, forgive someone, or release stress you've been carrying. Healing is holistic. He cares about your sleep, your thoughts, your relationships, and your habits. When you cooperate with His guidance, you create an environment where restoration can flourish. You are partnering with the healer who knows you better than anyone else. Don't underestimate small improvements. A little more energy than yesterday, a little less anxiety than last week, a little more clarity in your thinking. Those are signs that progress is happening. Celebrate those moments. Gratitude multiplies what God is doing. When you thank Him for partial healing, you are showing trust for complete healing. You are saying, God, I see you moving, even if it's one step at a time. There may be voices around you that speak doubt, people who mean well but say, you'll just have to live with this. Don't let those words settle into your spirit. What settles in your spirit shapes your future. Choose to let God's promises settle there instead. Choose to believe that nothing is too difficult for Him. Medical science has its place, but it does not have the final word. God has the final word. He can do what medicine cannot explain. He can restore what seemed permanently damaged. When you pray, you are not begging a reluctant God. You are connecting with a loving Father who delights in your well-being. He is not distant. He is not irritated by your repeated prayers. Every time you call on Him, He listens with compassion. His heart is for your wholeness. Even when the answer doesn't look like you expected, He is still working for your good. Sometimes healing comes as strength to endure. Sometimes it comes as gradual improvement. Sometimes it comes as sudden breakthrough. However it unfolds, it is an expression of His faithful love. Right now, as you read these words, His healing power is closer than you think. It is flowing through your faith, through your hope, through your decision to trust Him again today. You are not defined by your diagnosis. You are not limited by your past. You belong to a God who restores, renews, and rebuilds. Every day you wake up is another opportunity for His power to be revealed in your life. Hold your head high. Keep believing. Keep declaring. The healer is at work within you, renewing your body, refreshing your mind, and strengthening your spirit step by step. Speak life over your body and your mind, because your words are not empty. They carry creative power. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are prophesying your future through what you say. When you constantly talk about how tired you are, how stressed you feel, how nothing is changing, those words begin to shape your reality. But when you choose to declare strength instead of weakness, peace instead of panic, healing instead of harm, you align yourself with the promises of God. Your voice becomes an instrument of faith rather than a channel of fear. You may be facing symptoms in your body that seem intimidating. Pain can be loud. Diagnosis reports can sound final, but your words can be louder. Instead of rehearsing what's wrong, begin to declare what can go right. Say, my body is responding to healing. Every cell is being restored. Strength is rising up within me. Even if you don't fully feel it yet, keep speaking it. Faith-filled words plant seeds in the unseen realm. Over time, those seeds begin to produce visible results. What you repeatedly say eventually becomes what you start to believe, and what you believe shapes how you live. Your mind also responds to the language you use. If you constantly say, I'm so anxious, I can't handle this, I'm overwhelmed, your mind receives that as instruction. It shifts into survival mode. Stress increases, but when you speak calmly and intentionally, saying, I have the mind of peace, I am equipped to handle today, God is guiding my thoughts, your brain begins to settle. There is a powerful connection between your thoughts, your words, and your physical well-being. Speaking life is not pretending problems don't exist. It is choosing to declare that they do not have the final authority. Many people underestimate how often they criticize themselves. They look in the mirror and speak negatively about their appearance. They make mistakes and say, "I'm so stupid, I'll never get it right." Those words chip away at confidence and joy. Instead, begin to speak kindness over yourself. Say, "I am learning, I am growing, I am becoming stronger." Your body and mind respond to encouragement. Just as plants grow better with sunlight and water, your spirit flourishes under positive, faith-filled speech. When you wake up in the morning, before you check your phone or think about your responsibilities, take a moment to declare something good over your day. Say, "This is a day of progress. My body is energized, my mind is clear, favor surrounds me." It may feel simple, but consistency builds momentum. Over time, you'll notice a shift in your outlook. You'll start expecting good things instead of bracing for bad ones. That expectation influences your posture, your tone, and your decisions. There will be moments when negative thoughts try to dominate. Fear may whisper worst-case scenarios. Doubt may remind you of past disappointments. In those moments, don't stay silent. Silence allows negativity to echo. Instead, answer back with truth. If fear says, "You're getting worse," respond with, "Healing is working in me." If anxiety says, "You're not strong enough," respond with, "Strength is rising within me." Speaking life is an act of spiritual resistance. It pushes back against despair and creates space for hope. Your words also impact the atmosphere around you. When you constantly speak discouragement, it affects your relationships. But when you speak life, you lift not only yourself, but also those near you. If you are believing for healing, speak hope in your home. Speak gratitude at your table. Speak encouragement to your family. An environment filled with life, giving words becomes fertile ground for restoration. Peace grows more easily where positive speech is practiced regularly. Even science recognizes that positive affirmations can influence stress levels and emotional resilience. God designed you with that connection in mind. He knew that what comes out of your mouth would circle back into your heart. That's why guarding your speech is so important. You don't have to deny reality, but you can choose the narrative you repeat. Instead of saying, "This is ruining my life," you can say, "This is a chapter, not my whole story." Instead of declaring defeat, you can declare growth. Sometimes speaking life requires discipline. You may have developed a habit of complaining without realizing it. Changing that pattern takes awareness. Start by listening to yourself for a day. Notice how often your words lean negative. Then intentionally replace one phrase at a time. Turn "I'm exhausted" into "I'm learning to rest better." Turn "I can't handle this" into "I'm taking this one step at a time." Small shifts create significant change over time. There may be days when you don't feel like speaking positively. Your emotions may not cooperate. But remember, your words don't have to match your mood. They can lead your mood. When you declare strength during weakness, you are leading your emotions toward hope. When you speak peace in the middle of stress, you are guiding your mind toward calm. Over time, your feelings begin to follow the direction of your consistent declarations. Choose today to become intentional with your speech. Let your words be filled with faith, gratitude, and expectation. Speak life over your body even if it feels fragile. Speak clarity over your mind even if it feels cluttered. Speak confidence over your spirit even if you've been discouraged. Your voice is a powerful tool. Use it to build, to restore, to uplift. Every positive declaration is a step toward wholeness, shaping your inner world and influencing your outer reality day by day. Release anxiety and receive God's peace, because anxiety was never meant to control your life. It may visit your thoughts. It may try to settle in your body, but it does not have ownership over you. Anxiety often begins with what if? What if this doesn't work out? What if the results are bad? What if I can't handle what's coming? Those questions create tension in your mind and tightness in your chest. But peace begins with a different focus. Peace says, even if God is with me, even if things don't go as planned, even if challenges arise, you are not facing them alone. Anxiety thrives on uncertainty. It wants you to feel like everything depends on you. It whispers that if you don't control every detail, something will fall apart. But you were never designed to carry that weight. There is a difference between responsibility and control. You can be responsible for your actions, your choices, your effort, but you are not responsible for the entire outcome of every situation. When you try to control what only God can handle, your mind becomes overwhelmed. Releasing anxiety starts with surrendering what is beyond your reach. Sometimes anxiety is connected to past experiences. Maybe you've been hurt before. Maybe something unexpected happened and caught you off guard. Your mind tries to protect you by staying on high alert. It scans for danger even when there isn't any. But living in constant alertness drains your energy and steals your joy. God's peace offers a different way to live. His peace doesn't mean there are no challenges. It means you are secure even when challenges appear. It's a deep inner calm that says, I trust that I will be guided through whatever comes. When anxious thoughts begin to race, pause and breathe slowly. Remind yourself that not every thought deserves your agreement. Just because a fearful idea enters your mind doesn't mean you have to accept it as truth. You can observe it and let it pass. You can replace it with something steady and reassuring. Say to yourself, I am safe in this moment. I am supported. I am not alone. As you repeat these truths, your body begins to respond. Your heartbeat steadies, your muscles relax. Peace starts to replace tension. Releasing anxiety also means being honest about what you're feeling. Pretending you're not worried when you are doesn't bring freedom. Acknowledge the concern, but don't magnify it. Instead of saying, this is ruining everything, say, this is something I'm working through. That subtle shift reduces the intensity. It reminds you that anxiety is a temporary experience, not your permanent identity. You are not an anxious person. You are a person experiencing anxious thoughts, and those thoughts can change. God's peace is not fragile. It doesn't disappear at the first sign of trouble. It's steady, consistent, and available at any moment. You receive it by shifting your focus. When your mind is consumed with worst-case scenarios, peace feels distant. But when you turn your attention to gratitude, even in small things, peace begins to surface. Notice what is going right. Notice what is stable. Notice the support you have. Gratitude grounds you in the present instead of allowing your mind to spiral into imagined futures. Anxiety often convinces you that you need immediate answers. It pressures you to solve everything now. But peace is comfortable with process. It understands that clarity sometimes unfolds step by step. You don't need the full map of your future to feel calm today. You just need enough light for the next step. When you release the demand for total certainty, you create space for trust. Trust quiets the noise. Trust steadies the heart. Physical habits also influence anxiety. Lack of rest, constant stimulation, and endless scrolling can keep your nervous system on edge. Receiving peace sometimes means creating boundaries, turning off notifications for a while, stepping outside for fresh air, allowing your body to slow down. These simple actions send a message to your brain that you are not in danger. Peace grows in environments where there is space to breathe and reflect. There will be moments when anxiety feels strong, when your mind tries to replay the same worry repeatedly. In those moments, gently redirect your attention. Imagine placing that worry into God's hands. Visualize releasing it instead of gripping it tightly. You may have to do this multiple times a day. Releasing anxiety is not always a one-time decision. It can be a daily practice. Each time you let go, even briefly, you strengthen your ability to receive calm. Peace also comes from understanding that your worth is not tied to your performance. Anxiety often stems from fear of failure or fear of disappointing others. But your value is not determined by outcomes. You are valuable because you exist. When you separate your identity from your achievements, the pressure decreases. You can work diligently without being driven by fear. You can strive for excellence without being paralyzed by the possibility of mistakes. As you continue choosing release over resistance, trust over tension, gratitude over fear, you'll notice subtle changes. Your reactions become less intense. Your sleep improves. Your thoughts feel less chaotic. Peace begins to feel more natural than panic. It becomes your default response rather than your rare experience. Anxiety may still knock on the door from time to time, but it no longer lives inside your mind rent-free. You recognize it, you release it, and you return to a steady confidence that you are held, guided, and sustained in every season. Forgiveness opens the door to soul healing because carrying resentment is like carrying a hidden weight that slowly drains your strength. You may look fine on the outside, but inside there is tension, replayed conversations, unanswered questions, and wounds that never fully closed. When someone hurts you, it can feel justified to hold onto the pain. It feels like letting go means saying what happened was acceptable. But forgiveness is not about excusing the behavior. It is about freeing your own heart from the burden of it. It is choosing peace over prolonged pain. Unforgiveness has a way of settling deep in the soul. It affects how you see people. It affects how you trust. It can even affect how you see yourself. When you replay the offense again and again, your mind and body relive the stress of that moment. Your heart tightens, your thoughts grow heavy. Over time, that emotional strain can influence your overall well-being. Soul healing begins when you decide that what happened will not control your future. You acknowledge the hurt, but you refuse to let it define you. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as a feeling. Many people wait until they feel ready to forgive. But forgiveness is first a decision. Feelings may follow later. You can decide, even while emotions are still raw, that you will not allow bitterness to take root. You can say, I release this person into God's hands. I choose not to carry this anymore. That decision may need to be repeated. Some wounds are deep. Some betrayals cut sharply. Healing may be gradual, but each time you choose forgiveness, you loosen the grip of resentment. There is a powerful connection between the soul and the body. Emotional pain does not stay isolated. It often shows up physically. Stress increases, sleep becomes restless, tension settles in muscles and joints. When you forgive, you create internal space. Your mind stops rehearsing the offense. Your body begins to relax. You may not notice the shift immediately, but over time there is a lightness that returns. Joy becomes easier. Smiles come more naturally. You breathe more freely because your heart is not clenched around old wounds. Forgiveness does not mean you allow harmful behavior to continue. You can forgive and still set boundaries. You can release bitterness while also protecting your peace. Healthy boundaries are part of healing. They communicate self-respect. Forgiveness is about the condition of your heart, not the access someone has to your life. You can let go internally even if trust has to be rebuilt slowly or if distance is necessary. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You replay your own mistakes. You criticize yourself for what you should have known, what you should have done differently. That self-condemnation can be just as heavy as resentment toward others. Soul healing requires extending grace inward. You acknowledge your error, you learn from it, but you refuse to live in constant shame. Growth happens when you accept that you are still in process. You are not defined by one decision. You are evolving, learning, and becoming wiser through experience. When you hold onto offense, it can quietly shape your personality. You become guarded. You assume the worst. You expect disappointment, but when you forgive, you break that pattern. You give yourself permission to hope again. You allow your heart to remain soft instead of hardening it for protection. A hardened heart may feel safer, but it also blocks love, connection, and joy. Forgiveness keeps your heart open without making you naive. It strengthens you rather than weakening you. There may be situations where you never receive an apology. The person who hurt you may not acknowledge the pain they caused. Waiting for their validation can keep you stuck. Forgiveness does not require their participation. It is something you do for your own freedom. You can choose to release the offense even if they never say they're sorry. You are not dependent on their awareness for your healing to begin. Forgiveness also shifts your perspective. Instead of seeing yourself only as a victim, you begin to see yourself as resilient. You recognize that what happened did not destroy you. It may have shaken you, but it did not define your destiny. That realization restores confidence. It reminds you that you are stronger than the pain you endured. The wound becomes part of your story, but it is no longer the headline. Letting go of resentment may feel uncomfortable at first because it has become familiar. You've carried it for so long that releasing it feels strange. But as you practice forgiveness, even in small matters, you train your heart to prioritize peace. You respond more calmly. You recover more quickly from disappointment. You no longer allow minor offenses to steal major joy. Your soul becomes lighter, less cluttered with unresolved emotions. Healing of the soul creates room for deeper intimacy with God and with others. When bitterness is removed, gratitude grows more easily. Compassion increases. You begin to extend understanding where you once held judgment. That doesn't mean you ignore wrongdoing, but it means you approach life from a place of strength rather than woundedness. Forgiveness becomes a lifestyle rather than a rare event. Each time you release, you make space for restoration. Each time you let go, you move one step closer to wholeness, allowing your inner life to be renewed, refreshed, and restored from the inside out. Faith activates divine restoration because faith is the bridge between where you are and where you are believing to be. It is not just wishful thinking. It is a confident trust that God is working even when circumstances suggest otherwise. Restoration often begins internally before it becomes visible externally. When you choose faith, you are aligning your heart with the possibility of renewal. You are saying that what is broken is not beyond repair, that what feels lost can be found again, that what seems delayed is not denied. There are seasons in life when things feel fragmented. Health may decline, relationships may strain, opportunities may slip away. In those moments, it is easy to settle into discouragement. You may think this is just how it will always be. But faith interrupts that narrative. Faith reminds you that your current condition is not your final destination. It declares that restoration is possible even when you cannot yet see the path toward it. Faith keeps your heart open to hope when everything around you tempts you to close down. Divine restoration does not always mean returning to exactly how things were before. Sometimes it means something even better. It means lessons learned, strength gained, clarity discovered. When you exercise faith, you trust that God can bring beauty out of what looked like ashes. You trust that setbacks can become setups for growth. Faith allows you to look at a damaged area of your life and believe that it can be rebuilt stronger than before. Faith changes how you respond to challenges. Instead of reacting with panic, you respond with patience. Instead of assuming failure, you anticipate breakthrough. That shift in attitude affects your decisions. You take steps forward instead of staying stuck. You speak positively instead of complaining. You pray with expectation instead of doubt. Those actions create movement. Restoration often requires cooperation. Faith inspires you to participate in your own renewal by following the guidance and wisdom you receive. When you believe restoration is possible, you treat yourself differently. You take better care of your body because you believe it can improve. You guard your thoughts because you believe your mind can be renewed. You nurture relationships because you believe healing can occur. Faith motivates healthy action. It keeps you from giving up prematurely. It reminds you that progress may be gradual, but it is still progress. There will be moments when faith feels small. You may not have a surge of confidence. You may simply have a quiet determination not to quit. Even that is powerful. Faith does not have to be loud to be effective. It can be a simple decision to trust one more day. One more prayer, one more positive declaration. Those small choices accumulate. Over time, they build resilience. They strengthen your spirit. They position you to recognize restoration when it begins to unfold. Doubt will try to compete with your faith. It will point to past disappointments. It will remind you of times when things did not turn out as you hoped. But faith looks beyond past outcomes. It believes that each season is new. It understands that yesterday's experience does not dictate today's possibilities. When doubt whispers that nothing will change, faith responds that change is already in motion, even if it is subtle and unseen. Restoration often involves alignment. When something is out of place, it cannot function properly. Faith invites alignment with God's will, His timing, His direction. Sometimes that means releasing what no longer serves you. Sometimes it means stepping into unfamiliar territory. Faith gives you the courage to make those adjustments. It reassures you that obedience leads to renewal. It encourages you to trust the process even when you do not have every detail mapped out. As you continue in faith, you may begin to notice signs of restoration. Increased peace where anxiety once dominated, renewed energy where exhaustion lingered, repaired communication where silence prevailed. These changes may seem small at first, but they are evidence that something is shifting. Faith helps you recognize and celebrate these moments rather than overlooking them. Gratitude strengthens your belief that more restoration is coming. Faith also anchors you during delays. Not every breakthrough happens immediately. Some require persistence. During those waiting periods, faith keeps you steady. It prevents you from making decisions based purely on frustration. It helps you remain grounded in truth rather than swept away by emotion. You may not see the full picture, but faith assures you that the picture is still being painted. When you choose faith daily, it becomes a lifestyle rather than a reaction. You wake up expecting goodness. You face obstacles with composure. You interpret setbacks as temporary rather than permanent. That mindset transforms your experience. It changes how you carry yourself. It influences how others respond to you. Faith creates an atmosphere where restoration feels natural instead of distant. Divine restoration is not limited by how long something has been broken. Time does not restrict God's ability to renew. What matters is your willingness to believe that renewal is possible. Faith opens that door. It invites God's restoring power into every area of your life. It positions you to receive strength for your body, clarity for your mind, and wholeness for your soul. As you continue to trust, to declare, and to act in alignment with that trust, you cultivate a life that steadily moves from fragmentation to fullness, from weakness to resilience,